What's going on, guys? Teen Mechanic here. Today is the day that we finally fix the brakes on this Cadillac. Now, I'm extremely tired. I was up last night until 3:39 working on this thing, and there's a bit of a massacre going on inside here under that. It's dark, so you can't see it, but it's insane. So it's real bad. But in this video, we're gonna fix this leaking brake issue. I went out to the parts store. Well, in Canada, a lot of you are probably from the States, so you guys probably have AutoZone and O'Reilly's and all that stuff. We don't have any of that. We have Part Source, Auto Value, Napa Auto Parts, and all that stuff. So I went out to Part Source and I bought a new drum wheel cylinder for this side. And I ordered another one for that side already. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can just get away with replacing only that wheel cylinder. Alright guys, I've spared you from having to watch me take the drum and the wheel and everything else off, so now we're dealing with the same thing we saw last time. Make sure you guys are wearing safety glasses when you do this. Alright, now how I'm going to do this without replacing all this stuff, I'm going to have to be very careful. Now the thing is, I don't have any special tools for this, so I'm just going to get these springs off with some pliers and some screwdrivers. So first thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and get these channel locks on here just like this, so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm going to kind of get it like that so that it presses out a little like this, and I'm gonna get my screwdriver, get a good strong one, get it in there, and then you can pull it off. Now you guys have to be extremely careful when you do this because this is very dangerous with these springs. Obviously, they're spring loaded. There you have it. Okay, so there's one spring that shot off of there like crazy, so that is exactly what you want to be careful of. Now we'll go ahead and get this one now. This one is definitely strong, but this one is definitely stronger, so we're gonna have to be a little bit more careful with that one. There you go, got it off. Okay, so if you saw how I did that there, that's kind of what you want to do. So then you can just pull this out of here just like that. All right, so now these are loose, which is good. So now all we're gonna have to do is get these little spring clips on either side. There's one right down here, and those hold brake shoes on. Now I've always hated these little buggers, but it's actually not that big a deal to get these off. I'm going to use channel locks. A lot of people tell you use vice grips, but I don't have any, so I'm going to just try my best to get them off. Okay guys, sorry about that magpie in the background. Anyway, first thing I'm going to do is try on this side, because I feel like it's going to be easier, but let's see. Alright guys, there you go. So that's how it comes off. You just grab onto it and twist it, and there's this little pin that holds it on. And now I'm going to do the other side. Alright guys, now that those two springs are off, we can separate these drums. Now this spring here, be careful of that. This will fall out. That's for the, I believe that's the self-tensioner. Okay. Let's just be very careful. There we have it. Now this here is holding a lot of tension. Oh, there you go. There goes the shoe. Okay. So the entire shoes, both shoes are off and everything like this. We want to make sure we get the self-adjuster lever out. And this here. So now, you'll see on this model, for example, there are these two little claws, which I'm going to have to reuse, unfortunately. And those are what push out on the shoes when you press the brake, so those are pretty important. Alright, so you see right down here is the parking brake lever. Now just be mindful of that. That'll probably hang there. I mean, sometimes you can get it off, sometimes you can't. This here's the self-adjuster for the parking brake, and this, I mean, I don't know. You kind of want to keep this in the same place. I already messed that way up. But anyway, so you'll see this here is a gigantic mess. I mean, it's very intimidating if you're doing it for your first time. It's actually still even intimidating for me because, you know, if this doesn't go back together, I'm kind of hooped. So anyway, this here, want to make sure this spring stays with it. And now I'm going to go ahead and get this wheel cylinder off. All right, guys, here we go. I've got a ratchet. Go ahead and get that on there. There will be 2 bolts holding it on the back. You also want some good flare nut wrenches to get the brake line off. All right, guys, now that the brake line is disconnected, we can go ahead and just get both these bolts out. All right, guys, there you go. So all the, holy cow, this thing is leaking so much brake fluid. All right, so now this thing should be completely free. I don't see anything holding it on, and it's not coming loose. So I'm just gonna give it a little knock. There you go. Holy moly, this thing is just leaking everywhere. Okay, there's your old wheel cylinder there. Holy cow, that thing, that is bad. That's real bad. Okay, all right, guys, I went and washed my hands because I didn't want to ruin the brand new wheel cylinder. I'm gonna compare this to the old one without actually touching the old one. So the old one here, you can see, has a big rubber boot on either side. This one does too. So that's good. And then you'll see on the back, you've got the bleed nipple and that the brake inlet. And on that one, we have the same thing there too. All right, so this is the exact same part. So I'm gonna go ahead and install it. Now, I'm actually not gonna take this these plugs off of there until it's already installed. Well, actually, I have to do it with the brake fluid one, but that's just because I'm gonna be putting it right on the line. All right, so to install this new one, it's very easy. You just throw it right on in there, like that. Boom. Then just get your brake line attached properly, and it should just screw right on in there. I'm gonna tighten down that line more later. For now, it's secured just by the line. So now we'll get our old bolts and tighten it on down. All right, guys, there you go. I'm just screwing the old one in there. I'm not gonna fully tighten it down. So now what I'm actually gonna go do is get a bunch of brake cleaner and scrub all this crap off. All right, guys, I got everything cleaned up mostly. I actually took the cylinder back out just while I was cleaning it. But I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in, and then let's just reassemble this whole thing. All right, guys, well, I got all of this back together. I actually have the drum all back on there, but actually I'll take it off here for just a sec. But I have everything put back together. It was a bit of a bear. This video has reminded me of how much I hate doing drum brakes. But it's back together, and I think it's done fairly well, so I'll pull this drum off here for you. Alright, so there you go. You can see it's all hooked back up properly. All this is back on. Alright, guys, I just wanted to let you know that what you're about to see isn't incredibly comprehensive, and it's pretty bare. I don't really go into detail about how I put it back together, or about, you know, what goes where. And most people would argue that putting a drum brake back together is the hardest part. So, what I will do, I got new shoes today. They're OE Plus brand shoes. They're very comfortable for your car. Anyway, no, that's a joke I've been doing to everybody. No, they're brake shoes for that car. So I will put those on, and that involves taking it all back apart, so I will do a video on that, and I'll go much more into detail. So this isn't going to be where you learn how to put it back together, but that will it was easier than I was expecting, but it's just really, it's a cumbersome process to get it back together, to get those springs stretched properly, and get these little claws back in place properly. So anyway, it's back in. I'm going to put this back on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill the master cylinder with a bunch of brake fluid. So forgive me, guys, the lighting is pretty bad, but if you remember from last video, ouch! In the master cylinder, there was, you know, good enough fluid in the front, but like no fluid in the back, and as you can see, that's still the case. So actually, the front brake fluid, I shouldn't dip my finger in there, but I'm gonna. It's not in as bad a shape as I was thinking, but it's still not great. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill it. This car is old enough to the point where I'm just gonna get .3 regular stuff, GM, Chrysler, Ford. It'll work. This was $17 freaking, but it's It's okay. I'll fill it up to the top, and then we'll bleed them. All right, guys, so I went ahead and filled the master cylinder up as far as I could. Now, I'm leaving the lid off, which, I mean, some people put it on, some people don't. I honestly would, I would think that putting the lid, or leaving the lid off is a better idea. Although, I'm going to do the two-person method, and how you do that is you have someone sit inside the car and press down on the brake pedal. What you do, basically, is you get a flare-nut wrench. You come back here, and on the new one you can see, right there's the bleed nipple. So all you do, get a flare-nut wrench right on that, and then all you do is tell them to press the brake, crack this thing open, close it, and tell them to release the brake. And do that several times to the point where you see brand new fluid coming out. Now, when you are bleeding an entire brake system, let's say you're doing the entire thing, if you've replaced calipers on the front or anything like that, you always want to start from the furthest wheel away from the master cylinder. In this case, the master cylinder is right up there on the driver's side of the firewall. So what you want to do is start at the passenger side rear, the driver's side rear, passenger side front, driver's side front, and then that is how you would do it, because that kind of squeezes the air out in that motion. And I'm only going to probably bleed the rear two, because those are the two that have air in the system. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. All right, Dad, you ready? Okay. Alright, guys, so all I'm going to do is crack this loose just like I said. You'll see how it goes. Okay, go ahead and push it. Okay, release. Push. Release. Push. Release. Do you feel anything different? No? That means there's still air in the system. Push. Release. Push. Release. Okay, guys, so the pedal apparently doesn't feel all that different, but now we still have to bleed the other side, because there's definitely going to be air in it. Alright, guys, I think we're done with the bleeding now, so let's go ahead and see if it fixed our problem. Alright, guys, this morning I got in this thing and the pedal sunk to the floor with the car off, and now that we've done that, we've bleeded both the brakes, I put it all back together. Now I have everything back together. I love how that looks, by the way, just a little side note. But anyway, it's all back together. Both wheel cylinders are bled, even though I didn't replace this one. I still bled them. That one is on the way. You're always supposed to do, actually brakes in general, you should always do them in pairs. But just in a pinch, because that one was gushing everywhere, I just replaced that one, and that one is still strong. So I have one coming in the mail anyway, so for that side, so it's no big deal. Also, the two little pins that hold the brake shoes on, with those little springs that you push in and turn and then pull those off, I'm gonna get new pins. I have those installed just so I can move this out and then move that car back in. Except, you know, usually you should never reuse those, and I'm not going to. I'm going to, you know, if I drive this anywhere, I'm gonna get new pins. But anyway, enough talking. That was an absolute success. The brakes are perfectly hard now. Everything works. The pedal is nice and firm. That travel is fine. This pedal goes like normally. It's pretty firm. So that right there is a pretty awesome success in my eyes. So anyway, enough talking. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. But let me know in the comment section below how I can improve. Share this video with someone who you think might also enjoy it or find it useful. I think this is a pretty useful video. Other than that, guys, thanks again for watching. Go follow my Instagram. I have 2 accounts, but the Teen Mechanic one is the one that matters. Teen Mechanic, all one word, all lowercase, no spaces, no hyphens, no underscores, nothing, just Teen Mechanic. And that is where I post mostly. And you'll see stuff way ahead of time, like with this kind of thing. You'll see stuff far before I actually get around to putting it on YouTube. So anyway, guys, again, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.